Alright, time is up. Now we go to task B. You are given 10 minutes. So anyone can begin.
I would like to start the discussion by saying that water supply is important to the victims of disaster. This is because water is the most important need for the victims. They can use the water for drinking, cleaning, washing, and also bathing. The most importance of water is for cooking. Without water, we cannot cook anything, and we cannot make a food for the victims. And also, without water, they also have any medical problem, and also due to the sick for the victims. Did you agree with my opinions?
Sorry, candidate A. Okay. Even though water is important to human cannot live. The victims of natural disaster cannot only depends on water. They also must depends on medical supplies. Can they survive only with water? No, cannot, because they need the medical supplies such as antibiotic, vitamins and painkiller to survive.
But without waters, we cannot supply the medical supplies. Cannot apply the medical supplies also. This is because we need water to clean up the wounds and also clean up the bacteria. Without clean up the bacteria, it cannot put medicines. It will give infection to the victims.
I agree with candidate A. Other than that, some water supply one, I should think the temporary oxygen also very important to the victims, because the water supply man cannot put in the underground or any other places to get the victims to water. So if they should have the proper temporary houses, they can supply in the each of houses, so the victims can easily get the water. Other than that, the food also can give to victims in proper and didn't have any problems. So what do you think about candidate B?
I agree with candidate D, because without food we cannot survive any of the disasters, because if we don't have enough food, people will be infected more easily, and their wounds cannot be healed naturally, so they always need medical supplies. So this medical supply will give side effects and make it more worse. So if they become very weak and skinny, they cannot do their daily works in time. So how about candidate?
It's good opinion, but I think that free tuition class is needed for the victims after disaster, because they need some meditations and relax exercises for overcome their sadness. They also this is because education is important for everyone, so that nowadays parents are working for give some education to children. From this we know that the importance of education to the victims. I think that the number of teachers that sent to the countries should be increased to have more free tuition classes.
But I think it would be better if they have a temporary houses for the victims of disaster, because the education only not the important things. The victims can live without education, but the main things they need is a temporary houses. Without the temporary houses, where they will live? How they get a shelter from the sunlight and raining and other natural disaster.
May I interrupt completely?
Yeah.
I do not think that temporary houses is most important to the victims. I think that food is the most important for the victims because food is the main sources of energy to their victims. They need some foods to stay healthy and feel energetic.
I think you are mistaken. It is because in the science investigation, they see that the people can live without foods for 3 days, but they cannot without water for 1 day
I think
also.
you are wrong, right?
But it's the scientific
In the scientific knowledge, they can live under the tree, but they cannot live without food. Am I right?
I said.
Sorry for interruption. Can I give my comments? I think free tuition classes important too because in free tuition classes they never will always give studies teaching only. They must give some advices and make the class is very fun to forget the past memories, that is very sad memories. Then the children not feel sad because of the natural disaster. The teachers all give some games, some activities that make the student very enjoyable, happiness, and really they like to study. And when the time is the certain time is very depressed.
Excuse me, can we repeat?
Yes.
I think that comparing to the free tuition classes and food, I think that food is most important because without tuition classes, the victims can live, but without food, they cannot live.
Yeah, I agree, but at the same time.
But I think that you are very mistaken because do you think without have a temporary houses, where are you going to supply the foods and the tuition class? Where are you going to have the tuition class without temporary houses? You say you say that you can live in under the trees. How many people can live under the tree? Do you think the tree is a good shelter for the victims? Do you think the tree can shelter them from the sunlight? If it's a study also, for example, it's a rain, how they can study under the tree? So that the important thing for the victim disaster is temporary houses.
Sorry, candidate A. I once again disagree with you. Actually, we need food, but tuition is unnecessary for the natural disaster victims because they can't learn in that situation because they will not mentally prepared or anything. Okay, so they should have food or medical supplies. Food and medical supplies plays the main role in these national disaster victims, for the national disaster victims.
Yeah.
I agree with the candidate C because food item is more important, especially to the old peoples and babies, because babies cannot live longer without insufficient food and milk. So old people also the same because they are very weak and don't have enough energy to live.
I agree with candidate B because in our country also the poor people live without temporary housing also, but they need food so that they taking.
For taking what?
They ask money from others to just for eating also, not for the temporary housing.
It's true, but we can see wisely that after happen a disaster, mean they save the victims and put them in the temporary housing. It's the first thing the government do. I think you all mistaken. The first things the victims need is a temporary housing only, because foods they can live without foods, but they cannot live without temporary
I
housing.
strongly disagree
Yeah.
with candidate.
Wait, give me a time. I didn't say food is not important. It also important, but temporary housing is very important to them, because prevent them from the other disaster. This is because foods they can foods if they go to temporary houses also.
How they gain the food? They need food supplies. Am I correct?
Yes, I am strongly agree with candidate E, because candidate A said that without food, people can live without food supply. That is very wrong, because
Scientific.
really wrong, because everybody needs food to survive, to get energy, to live. So without shelter or temporary housing, they can live, but without food, they cannot live. So how about you?
In conclusion,
Wait.
let's come to the conclusion. All of us that agree that food supplies is the main priority to help the victims of the disasters.
All of you agree that.
Do you agree?
Yes.
I agree with that.
I agree with candidate B's point.
Okay, stop.